Welcome to CityWise. I'm your host, Tiana Stevens. CityWise is produced by the City of Rochester to shine a spotlight on city living at its best. Well, the new educational initiative in our community is aiming to increase access to living wage jobs by helping residents obtain reliable transportation. Driven to Success is a joint effort of Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Rochester and Genesee Co-op Federal Credit Union. Here to tell us more is Chad Rieflin, Director of Programs and Grants at CCCS, and Deniz Akman, Consumer and Business Loan Officer at Genesee Co-op. Thanks for coming on today.
Well, thank you very much.
So I want to start with a description of what CCS does, just so people know.
Sure. So Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Rochester has actually been in the community since 1970, and our whole mission is to help individuals and help families to build financial wellness and build financial peace of mind. And we do that primarily through both financial education and financial counseling, and we have various forms of financial counseling and education that we provide, and we try to target that to the current needs of the community, and that's why we're partnering with Genesee Co-op to offer Driven to Success as well.
And this is a brand new program, is that right?
This is brand new. We're piloting it and trying to learn as much as we can. We've been doing a lot of learning, so we appreciate having the opportunity to talk about it right now.
Absolutely. Deniz, how does this fit into the mission of Genesee Co-op's business plan?
Oh, well, it's a perfect fit for what we do and what we've been doing through the years. We help members with low-cost financing and help when no one else might be able to help get them a car loan or some other type of lending. So in some ways we have the experience in that type of lending, and in a way it works perfectly for the program. We're very excited to have the opportunity to help some new members get car loans.
Transportation, such a critical piece, accessing well-paying jobs. What led you to create this program?
So there was a program that existed here in Rochester many years ago called Ways for Work, and that was a very similar model that focused on offering affordable loans to individuals that needed that vehicle for work purposes. And due to various funding cutbacks with the state and whatnot, it was eliminated. After learning about a lot of the transportation barriers that arise for folks who are exiting poverty and who are working on increasing their earning ability, some of the great folks in the community helped us to understand better how much this was an issue, what the landscape is for where people live versus where those jobs actually are. And in our community, you really often need a vehicle in order to practically manage your time to work and your family, etc. So we thought there were some elements to this that we could offer as consumer credit counseling. That's a great strength with how we're able to help people get on track financially, understand the best way to buy a car, which I think is honestly one of the most valuable things that we've been able to offer so far. And then also get them to that position where they're confident in being able to handle the payments on that car and enter into that loan the right way and get on track with their plans for their life.
A lot of things to think about. How does the program actually work?
So what we do is work with folks to coach them and counsel them regarding their finances, their credit, everything that they'd need to work on to get themselves in a position to borrow and to do it affordably. So the honest piece of this is anyone could get a car loan virtually anywhere.
That's true. But it might not be the best kind.
Yes. The cost for most of those loans where you hear someone say that they can get any one credit is usually very exorbitant. It might be up, just below 25% interest. And over the life of a long-term loan, the overall cost could be almost double.
So Deniz, what are some of the key things that people need to know before they think about getting a car loan?
Well, I think it's best to be educated before going into a dealership. Once you walk in there, you almost are maneuvered into products or maybe a car that you don't know if you would even want. And sometimes when I get someone coming to me, they may have already entered into something, and it's difficult to even pull them out of whatever has happened.
You've signed the line.
Yeah, based on the car is upside down in value and the interest rate being higher. It might be difficult to even refinance someone, but we have and even through Chad's referrals, helped some members who were at like 25% interest go down to like 5 or 6%, you know, depending.
Okay.
And so in some ways it's been a good feeling when we can save someone to not pay so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's unfortunate because it's usually someone who maybe is low income or had some events in their lives that, you know, isn't exactly their fault, but it's then they're punished with an unfair situation, and almost it makes them fail before they even can start it. So it's like great thing to be able to help someone from the beginning and get them where they're buying something at the right price, and it's a great rate, and it's been looked at by a mechanic beforehand. I mean, those are the things. Sometimes people go in and do all these things and then they come out and they don't even know what interest rate they have or what the value of the car is, and they find out there's mechanical issues. And it's devastating because they wish they had talked to us first, you know. And so this program should be helpful for someone who wants to be careful. But in the environment we're in these days, everything's fast. People take little time, and they're usually hurrying because they have to get to work the next day, and they have to have a vehicle. So a lot of times they're rushed, and that's when bad things can happen. So, and that's the other thing, is just the need, and that might promote something that won't work. But at the moment it seemed like a good idea. So
who's eligible to participate in this program?
So that's a great question. The two main eligibility criteria for anyone entering the program, not necessarily for the loan, but to enter the program and receive the help that we can provide as far as the coaching and counseling is concerned, is that they have to have a demonstrated need for transportation related to employment. So it has to be someone who is either working and they're having issues with their transportation related to work, or maybe they are getting a new job offer, and part of the job offer contingency is they need that vehicle in order to get there. The second requirement is that we are focusing on folks who are working in or have completed some type of workforce development program. And what that means is some of the certificate programs through REOC, the Adult and Career Education Services, and some of the others that exist here in the community. So we're trying to work with folks who are working on that next step up in their employability.
And then once someone is qualified for the program, what happens? Do they meet with you at certain times of the week, or do they schedule kind of one-on-one visits?
Yeah, so the next step would be a one-on-one visit. And so we bring folks in and we start to assemble their case, as we would call it. We start building that profile, we look at their credit report, we start putting together a budget, we start assembling some of the preliminary documents that Denise is going to need at Genesee Co-op as far as income is concerned. We also help people, build their story. Sometimes that's very helpful as well to know, what is their story, why did they need this loan at this point, what's taken place up to that point. And we help them to then get plugged into the right channels that are going to position them to be able to qualify for that lower cost loan. And then to have our support along the way and know that they're not out on their own navigating a process that's intimidating to all of us. It's intimidating to me to go and buy a car. And as a young person, I was the same way. I didn't know that really your first step should be to go to your lender and get approved for the loan first. And most of us think you go and you shop for the car, you get that figured out, and that's one of the things that you really want to avoid doing for the most part.
Good information. What are some of the questions that clients ask you when they're getting ready to take that next step?
Oh gosh, wow. Next step. Well, I think that they worry about the affordability and the payment side the most, because cash flow is everything, and especially if somebody has been unemployed for a period of time or had events where they haven't had the best credit based on that. And I think for me, I spend the most time talking to someone about what their comfort level would be with what payment makes sense. I mean, we do the budget.
You're right.
But when I really, I like to spend a lot of time with that, because that's the thing that they're going to be carrying for some years. And so I spend more time on that than anything.
Right. And normally that's very hard for someone to consider or even understand how do they answer that question.
Right.
So they have us in their corner to be able to really figure that out the right way.
Right.
You know, not just the payment, but maybe also insurance costs, your fuel costs.
Right.
Gosh, that's the biggest
and
one.
potential repair costs, all those other things that are going to go into what it takes to afford a car payment long term.
And I think insurance is the one thing that would be the most unforeseen cost, because usually they get quotes, but when they actually go to buy a car, I've had some members who are ready to purchase something but found the insurance unaffordable, and then they can't move forward with the car.
Right.
And so that's the thing, is just you know, getting as many quotes as you can in the insurance area, and or hopefully you have a relationship, but you know, that's a big one.
One of the things that I think is great that we're focusing on with the program is one of the main entry points is we've developed a workshop, a class all about buying a car the right way.
Great.
Yeah.
And that's how most folks have been getting connected to the program and hearing about it. And we talk about a lot of these things that Denise is mentioning. And I honestly feel that that's probably the most valuable thing that we've been able to offer, if we could just equip people to be more empowered when they're making that decision and going through that process. Then we feel like, you know, we've hit a home run. So, you know, we definitely want to get connected with other organizations that might see that need as well.
Yeah. Credit is so easy to get,
Right.
but it might not be the best. I mean, you can get access online, you can find loans, but they might be...
You need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is the ease of credit is one part, but then there's the responsibility of what that means and what you're going to have to do in over the course of the loan that you get.
Right.
And I think the environment is all fast, no thinking, and it's difficult, you know, with all that out there.
Final question, why is it so important for Rochester to have a program like this?
This is incredibly important for Rochester to have right now, especially with all of the initiatives going on around poverty alleviation. The Rochester Anti-Poverty Initiative. One of the biggest barriers that's been identified across the board there, amongst many others, is transportation to these higher paying jobs. And again, we know for practicality's sake, for really helping people to be successful and have control of their own destiny, which I think is one of the most important keys to this, they need to be able to get plugged into those vehicles that are affordable, that will last, and that are going to truly make a difference for them.
Great. Thank you guys so much for coming on today. For more information about the Driven to Success program, call 585-546-3440, extension 228, or send an email to Chad Rieflin at crieflin@ccccsofrochester.org.